Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Dino Garden by Uchibakoya. This is actually part of a series of 3 games. There's the original Aqua Garden, which came out first and is now getting a brand new edition, and then there's Sky Garden as well as Dino Garden. Today we'll be talking about Dino Garden. I just want you to know that these exist, and you can check out more about those by checking out the campaign page. Speaking of which, this is a prototype, all rules and components have to change, and there'll be that link that I just mentioned in the description down below. But with that said, Dino Garden is a 1 to 4 player game. I'm going to go over the general arc of how this game plays. I will not be going into all the small details. The general arc is pretty straightforward. The small details are where all the little, details add up. But the general arc is you're going to be playing either either 3 or 4 rounds, depending on the player count. So you're playing 3 rounds at a 2 or a 3 player game, and 4 rounds at a 4 player game. In each round, you're going to be taking your little meeple over here, and you're going to be moving it around the track, trying to take whatever tokens you want. And this is where the game's going to be similar to games like Patchwork, where there's not a turn order, rather the person in last always goes. So for example, just pretending this is a 3 player game over here, if this person went over here and did that, and we'll explain what that is in a second. This person went over here and did that. Well, this person can go over here, do that, and then again do that before moving over here and doing that. There's a lot of doing that in this game, but the general arc is that you're moving around this little rondelle, and the last person always takes an action in order to, until you get back to the end of the start over here, at which point you'll go into the next round. So, what is all of this that I mentioned? What is it that you're doing? Well, the vast majority of the time, and by vast majority I mean everything except for these blue tokens over here, and yes, I'm including that red token, that's just a round marker, but it functions similarly to all these beige tokens. When you land on a spot, what you're effectively doing is you're taking that dinosaur and adding it to your park. As far as the why you're adding it to your park, well, there's a few reasons, but I'd say the main 2 reasons are every single dinosaur is worth points at the end of the game. You're going to find that listed down here, that little egg is points. So each dinosaur has a point value, and it has an additional value if it shares a space with either a volcano, which you can add to your park, or alternatively a lake, which you can add to your park. So you're going to have point modifiers based on having dinosaurs match the volcanoes or lakes, depending on how you build out your park. So that's reason number 1 why you want a dinosaur in your park. The second reason you're going to want a dinosaur in your park is because of the rotation of the carnivores and the herbivores. Herbivores are going to produce meat, and it is a little weird in that sense because they functionally do produce meat. I guess thematically you can pretend that they are producing children, and the children become meat. That could be thematic, but a little dark over there. But then there's going to be the predators that consume meat. Predators, you're going to have a predator track over here that shows you the kinds of meats that each predator eats, the kind of meat that each herbivore produces, and your predators are going to be trying to eat the various meat in the park, and that's going to move you up this track, which is going to be worth points for the number you get to, as well as unlocking bonuses as you move further along this track. Those are the 2 main reasons you want dinosaurs in your park. The inherent point value, plus the whole predator-prey situation, which will give you ongoing points as well. So, once again, you're going to move your person around the park over here. So you're going to move this person over here. Let's pretend we went to this Triceratops right now. We would then, I'm actually orange over here, so let's move this over here. Let's pretend this person moved over here to the Triceratops. They're going to take the Triceratops along with the meat that they produced. So you're going to take a little pork chop over here and add it to the Triceratops. Then you're going to move your person 1 to 3 spaces around the park. And you have 2 different people. You have your feeder, and then you have your main worker over here. You can move 1 to 3 spaces. Let's go ahead and move it 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to then place this into either of the spots adjacent to that person. So I'm going to place it over here, and it's going to produce the meat over there. This is important because you'll see certain dinosaurs, specifically over here, this guy, is going to want to eat that meat, which means we need to get it, but we also need to get that person in the same spot to be able to eat the meat, or alternatively, we need to move the meat. Those are the options. But that's a basic turn. You move your person along this main board, you add the dinosaur to the park, and then there's a bunch of other things you can do. Specifically, you can purchase things from this board. There's always going to be some dinosaurs there automatically, and then players can add more if they're trying to free up space in their park. And so you can purchase dinosaurs to your park. You can also purchase volcanoes to your park. You can purchase a lake. You have to do volcanoes and lakes next to where your person is, but you can go ahead and purchase those for 2 coins a piece, and you're going to be able to open up your park, increasing the size of your exhibits, because by default you can hold size 4, and this shows what the size of each dinosaur is. And as you add a lake or a volcano, you could have one but not the other, so you could have one or the other, I guess. As you do that, you're going to increase the size of an exhibit to 6, and so you're trying to choose between buying dinosaurs, buying volcanoes, and buying lakes as your extra actions. That's a core straightforward turn. But then additionally, if you landed on certain spots, specifically, in fact, actually, let's just go ahead and show you this as the next turn. Let's pretend it's my next turn over here. This person went over here, did their thing, they went over there, and now for my next turn, I'm going to jump over here. I'm not saying it's efficient, but I am saying I'm going to do it. We're going to take this person over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take that dinosaur and add it to our park. Now again, we have to move this exhibit over here, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go 4, 5. We're going to pay 2 coins to be able to move. So we're going to go pay 1, 2 funds over here, because you could pay additional funds to move extra spaces. So you move 1 to 3, and you can pay additional funds to move 4. It's also worth noting that when you pass this event card, you're going to get additional funds depending on how many you have of the matching dinosaurs in these 2 event exhibits. So you are incentivized to try to build up those types of dinosaurs quickly to get your income track working for you. But we moved over here, then we're going to add this dinosaur to the park over there, and now we have a dinosaur, but it's not next to the meat that it wants. The good news is we landed on a feeder spot, which means we got to take the additional board action of landing on a feeder spot. You'll see those here, 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 and here. And then over here we have a dinosaur buying spot, but we're going to be able to move our feeder. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Your feeder can move again 1 to 3 spaces, and again you can pay funds to move them further, but they can pick up and drop off meat along the way. So when he gets over here, he's going to pick up meat, putting it into our meat chest, move 1 more, and then drop off the meat. You can pick up and drop off as much as you want, but you are limited to 3 in your chest, at least until you pay to upgrade it, at which point it'll be worth points and also be able to store 5 instead of 3. That's going to be helpful because when this entire round is done, because you're going to do a lot more of this, I'm trying to show you how it works, but when this entire round is done, you're going to reset back to over here, so all the players will slowly move to their various spots eventually, and then you're going to go through a dinosaur feeding phase, where you're going to look at the predators, see if they can eat the meat, and then move up that much on the feeding track. We ate a meat, we remove this, and we get to go ahead, and now we produce more meat. Again, dinosaurs produce meat. It's a little weird, but it does functionally work. Again, it's that whole offspring thing, and that's going to be the cycle of play. So you take the whole round, moving around the board, gathering various dinosaurs. You take bonus actions. You move up your income on the event track. You're also going for these goals over here, and you have the opportunity to buy special dinosaurs over here. Goals are very helpful because they're going to give you points at the end of the game, but they're also going to allow you to play bonus cards as you achieve goals, giving you extra things you can do. Look at that. I can bump up 4 on the predator track, which can help me unlock bonuses as well as, well, points. Points. It's all points over here. So you're trying to balance all of this as you go. The blue tokens over here allow you to either take $3 or alternatively to buy a special dinosaur. These gives you extra ways of scoring points or sometimes in-game benefits, such as reducing the cost of volcanoes and lakes. And you're trying to balance all this puzzle of gathering the right tokens, place them into your park in the right areas, making sure to place them, be mindful of where your person is so you can actually, well, that's the wrong person, but making sure you're mindful of where your person is to be able to place the dinosaurs out appropriately, managing your exhibit size, managing your exhibit points, because the tricky part of the game is you constantly want to have the predators in the same place as the prey, as the herbivores. The tricky part is you don't get points for that properly at the end of the game because your herbivores usually want to be with lakes and your predators want to be with volcanoes. So sometimes it's more efficient to have your feeder move things around, but that means you need to be making sure to move your feeder or you're not going to get those points. So there's a lot to juggle and balance. You're going to play this out across 3 or 4 rounds depending on the player count, and that is basically how you play Dino Garden. With that said, time to dive into my review of what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like. There's tough decisions on this rondelle, from the dinosaurs you're taking, from the extra actions you need, from the sequence, from how often do you go for that thing you need over here. These over here, these guys, they give you a bunch of extra movement, and if they eat the right meat, they'll actually move up 2 on this track, which is incredibly important, but there's also only 1 of them on this track, which means you have to get that. How important is that? Well, actually, it depends. It depends on the round, I should say. It depends on the round that they're out. Also, it might be over here, where you can buy it. And so, making decisions around what to get and how many actions to give up, that's going to be a big part of the game, because giving up more than 1 or 2 actions, that's hard to come back from that. And so you're constantly trying to weigh up, well, if I go here, I might give up 2 actions now, but it'll also set the sequence for being able to go to the next spot I want and the next spot I want, and that'll give me 3 good actions at the cost of giving up 2 extra actions. That might well be worth it. And so juggling the rondelle, juggling the extra actions, juggling the dinosaurs you want to add to your park, juggling the prey, the herbivores that are currently producing meat versus which dinosaurs want those meat, as well as the event track, all of that is going to be part of the puzzle you're playing out. And then of course there's also the goals. Which dinosaurs do you want for the sake of these goals in order to get these objectives and play those extra bonus cards? And so all of that gives you a challenge to work through. You're going to go have these variable predator boards over here. So these predator boards, you're going to have a different one each game. Well, I mean, until you eventually cycle them. But there are different predator boards, so you can cycle those around and have different upgrades you're going for, which will again modulate the player experience to give you slightly different variability to the experience. That's going to be variability you'll see from these goals as well. Now, I will say, prototype-wise, I only have these 3 special dinosaurs. I do wonder if the final game will have more, which if they do, that will add additional variability to the experience. So there's some degree of variability to the small ins and outs of how you build things. There's also cascading bonuses. It's very satisfying in this game. In general, and I find there's almost always at one time where you have to do 1, 2, or 3 bonuses in a row, because you do this bonus and that gives you that, which lets you buy that, and now suddenly you know you have that, and you're able to get these extra bonuses in play through building these bonuses cards, cascading them into another bonus, and you're able to work out and get, like, you know, first place and 3 bonuses at once just through some clever play. And so you have that going on. There's also the great production. The dino meeples are great, different dinosaurs for all the various things, all screen printed over here. So overall it looks beautiful, and it can feel very satisfying in general as your board comes together. This is one of those games, and we'll get to in what I don't like shortly, but it does feel very tight at the beginning. It does feel like there's not enough time to get your engine up and running, especially if you're only playing a 2 or 3 player game and you only have 3 rounds. That means you're working on this kind of production and consumption schedule that's only going to be in play for 3 rounds, which feels very, very tight, but it is very satisfying as you get to the end and watch your board develop, watch your exhibits fill up, watch you optimize around that point scoring multipliers, getting all your herbivores in the right spot, being able to move the meat to the carnivores that want it, and trying to optimize around how you build your board can be very satisfying as you approach the end game. As far as things I don't like in the game, despite the fact that there is variability to small things like the predator track, like the bonuses, possibly these, the overall experience is a little too tight that the cycle of what you're doing and how the game feels does feel very static game to game. It's not a game that significantly shifts up because there's just not enough time for it to do so. This track looks like it's pretty big, but because you can't be in the same spot as another player, by the time you're done over here, you've only added a handful of dinosaurs to your park each round, and that means there's really not a lot of room to play with the ins and outs. Sure, there's different goals that might be in play. Sure, you might have a different predator track, and so you are trying to pick different things to an extent, but the arc of the game is very static. There's not different ways to play this game. You are trying to optimize around a few core mechanics. You're trying to be mindful of which goals and things cascade nicely together, but the feeling of what you're doing is very much the same game to game, just because the game is so tight that it doesn't allow for opportunities for there to be something different. There's not like a whole different mini game you're playing or some other aspect to juggle. It's all about getting dinosaurs from this board into your park, juggling the exhibit size, and then min-maxing those together. And so for me, while I do enjoy this game, the game-to-game feeling doesn't really shift up for me, unfortunately. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the way this board is structured, the way the time is, it feels in general there's just not enough time to get a lot of things done. By the time you get to the end of the game, it all comes together nicely, but at the beginning, you're playing a production arc that only plays out across 3 rounds. I don't mind 3-round games. I mean, that's not entirely true. I usually like getting more done in games, but a 3-round game is something that's fine, but when you include a production arc in a 3-round game, I often feel that feels so stilted. Like I have to get the production arc going ASAP because I only have 3 rounds to maximize. By the time you get to round 2, you're already halfway through the game, and production arcs in 3-round games, I feel the experience is too tight for what I'm looking for. And then additionally, because of the way the rondel is working, giving up spots feels incredibly punishing. Giving up spots means someone else is going to get an extra 2 or 3 dinosaurs if you jump too far ahead of them, and so it's very, very tight. You have to really weigh up, is that thing that's better for you worth giving up more dinosaurs relative to the other players, because there's not really a strong downside to getting additional dinosaurs. It's just more opportunities, especially opportunities for you to even just move around the board, getting additional income, and so there are times where you'll definitely jump ahead a spot, but I find the wiggle room is often like, do I want that thing or do I want 1 spot ahead? Once you're jumping 2 spots ahead, it's usually, not never, but it's usually not worth it just because of how much of an upside the other player or players will get because of your jumping forward. As far as I can see others not liking, first of all, iconography is not the best overall in the game, and I'll also say that the meat tokens over here, we have 3 different meat tokens, and the whole juggling of which predator eats which meat token, while it's all printed on the board, so you do have that information available to you, it's certainly like a little bit, it takes a little bit of time for you to really intuitively, I don't know if you ever get to the point where it's intuitive, but you get to the point where you know this dinosaur eats that. At first, it's like a little bit of okay, I have these, they're producing these chops over here, and that means I need this one over here. So again, pairs up on the board, but it's a little, I don't know, meat tokens look very similar in the game. As far as final thoughts on Dino Garden, I overall enjoyed this game. Dino Garden the game itself, it gives you a lot of things to try to work towards as far as how to build out your park and how to min-max different levers in the game. But I will say that for me, the first game was definitely the best experience, and even then, it was a good overall experience. It's tight. You move around the board, you're playing the rondel, you're gathering dinosaurs, you're trying to optimize around how to min-max that, and that is satisfying the first time. It's not the best game I've ever played, but it's a satisfying first time. But then you dive into it again, and again, for me, the feeling was, I just played this. It's the same experience. I didn't feel like I was trying something new. I felt like I was just doing the exact same thing with small adjustments based on the bonus tokens that are out. So now I'll go for that dinosaur first instead of that one. But it didn't change up the feeling or the experience that I had. So for me, Dino Garden is fun. It's a 3.5 out of 5. I think if you like tight optimization games, this one definitely delivers, and it does so with charm. If you like variable player experiences, I think this one is a little bit less of that. Despite some of the variety baked in, the feeling is very samey game to game. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Austria Pirates from the same publisher, from Uchibukai. Austria Pirates is, to me, Austria in general, their game it gives you a rondel, but it's more of a Mancala rondel, and an overall much more satisfying experience with a ton of different things to try to weigh up as you go through it. And if you're looking for something dinosaur themed, check out Cretaceous Rails, probably the most recent dinosaur addition to my collection. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.